Ever get that feel? You know when you type something like best business schools near me into Google, like you're not just looking for information, you're stepping into like a whole new world.
Yeah.
Well, colleges are on that journey too, trying to figure out how to connect with you in this digital age. We've been looking into online program management, or OPMs, those companies that help universities run their online programs. We've got articles here from UPCEA, a higher education association, and Manafera, a marketing firm. They offer some pretty contrasting perspectives. We're going to use them to figure out if partnering with an OPM is the right move for a university and what it all means for the future of higher education.
Yeah, what's intriguing is these sources highlight a pretty fundamental shift happening in higher ed. Manafera, coming from a marketing perspective, really hammers home the point that universities can't just rely on traditional marketing tactics anymore. It's not enough to print glossy brochures or hope students stumble upon their website. They need to be incredibly strategic about their online presence.
And why is that?
Students are behaving differently. Think about your own experience. You turn to Google for everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
Students are no different. Manafera's research shows that a whopping 70% of prospective students use their phones to research colleges. And get this, if a university's website takes more than 3 seconds to load, they're likely to bounce. They just don't have the patience.
That's insane. 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. We're also used to instant gratification these days.
Exactly. And it's not just speed. Manafera points out that universities often use language that doesn't resonate with students. They stick to these long official program names. But students are searching using everyday terms. They give a great example. A university might call it a Master of Business Administration with enterprise leadership concentration. But students are typing in MBA leadership programs near me.
Right.
It's a classic case of talking past each other.
So how do universities get on the same page with these digitally savvy students? Enter OPMs, right?
Right, but it's not a simple solution. UPCEA, with their focus on the operational side of higher education, breaks down the different ways universities can work with OPMs. You've got the fully dependent model, where the university relies on the OPM for everything, from marketing and recruitment to course design and student support. That's a huge leap of faith.
It's like handing over the keys to your online kingdom. What are the other options?
Well, on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the fully independent approach. This means the university handles everything in-house. It gives them maximum control, but it also requires a significant investment in resources and expertise. Building those capabilities from scratch can be a daunting task for many institutions.
So it sounds like it comes down to a choice. Total control with a ton of work, or a hands-off approach with a lot of trust involved. Is there a middle ground?
There is. UPCEA calls it the unbundled or hybrid model. This allows universities to pick and choose which services to outsource. They might work with an OPM for marketing and recruitment, for instance. While keeping instructional design and student support in-house, this gives them more flexibility and allows them to build internal expertise strategically over time.
Okay, so we've got the go all in, do it yourself, or mix and match approaches. Makes sense. But is there one right way to do this OPM thing?
That's where things get really interesting. UPCEA makes it clear that there's no one-size-fits-all answer. They say the decision to partner with an OPM depends on a bunch of factors. The first being institutional readiness. They ask, does the university have clear goals for its online programs? Is there buy-in from leadership? Do they have systems in place to track progress and measure success?
It's almost like they're saying, before you even think about an OPM, get your own house in order.
Exactly. They also talk about the importance of cultural alignment. Will faculty and staff embrace the idea of working with an external partner? Does the university's culture support collaboration with outside vendors? These are crucial considerations because, like you mentioned, bringing in an OPM means bringing in another entity that will influence your online presence, your brand, your identity in a way. It can be a big cultural shift.
Yeah. So it's not as simple as just picking an OPM and calling it a day. Universities really need to do their homework first. Figure out their goals, their culture, their needs.
Absolutely. And even once those foundational pieces are in place, there are practical operational questions to consider. UPCEA highlights the importance of assessing your operational needs. Do you have gaps in areas like marketing, instructional design, or student support? Are there things you simply can't handle on your own?
And of course, the elephant in the room. Money. Can the university afford to partner with an OPM? Will it help them scale their online programs sustainably in the long run? These are big-ticket questions.
They are. And this is where I think UPCEA offers some really insightful advice. They suggest universities build an exit strategy into their OPM contracts. In other words, what happens if down the road you want to bring those services back in-house? You need to have a plan.
It's like having a prenup for your online program. You're protecting yourself down the line, making sure you're not locked into something that might not serve you forever.
Precisely. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the student experience. We've touched on how students are researching colleges differently these days. It's all about being online, being findable, speaking their language.
And Manafera dives deep into this, right? They have a whole framework for attracting and engaging students in the digital age.
They do. They call it content strategy for higher ed. And it's all about creating content that speaks directly to the needs and motivations of prospective students.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, Manafera breaks down the student journey into different stages. At the awareness stage, students are just starting the research. They're asking broad questions like, what can I do with a psychology degree? Or how much does an MBA cost? Universities need to provide content that answers these questions in a clear, concise, and engaging way.
It's about grabbing their attention and making them want to learn more.
Exactly. Then as students move into the consideration stage, they're evaluating specific programs. They're comparing curricula, looking at career outcomes, checking out student life. This is where universities need to showcase their strength and differentiate themselves from the competition.
Think detailed program guides, student testimonials, virtual campus tours, anything that gives students a real sense of what it's like to be part of that community.
And finally, you have the decision stage, where students are ready to apply. This is where the experience needs to be seamless and user-friendly. Clear application instructions, financial aid information, prompt communication. Everything needs to be streamlined to make that final step as easy as possible.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It is, and this is another area where OPMs can potentially add value. They often have dedicated teams focused on content creation, marketing, and student recruitment. They can bring expertise and resources that many universities simply don't have in-house.
But even with the best content in the world, it doesn't matter if students can't find it. That's where SEO comes in, right?
Absolutely. Manafera dedicates an entire article to higher education program page SEO. It's pretty technical, but the key takeaway is that universities need to optimize their websites and content to rank well in search results. That means understanding how students are searching, using the right keywords, and making sure their websites are mobile-friendly.
We've already talked about the whole mobile thing.
Yeah.
And how crucial it is for universities to have websites that load quickly on phones.
Right. But there's more to it than just speed. It's about the entire mobile experience. Is the website easy to navigate on a small screen? Can students easily find the information they need? Are forms and applications mobile-friendly? These are all things that can make or break a student's impression of a university.
So we've got content strategy, we've got SEO, we've got the mobile experience. What else are universities grappling with in this digital age?
Well, both UPCEA and Manafera touch on something. That, I think, is really fascinating. This rise of digital badges and micro-credentials, those mini certifications you get for specific skills, it feels like it's more than just a trend. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about education and skills.
Yeah, it's a response to a changing landscape. Students today are increasingly focused on career outcomes. They want to know that the education they're investing in will translate into tangible job skills and career advancement. And on the flip side, employers are looking for more than just a degree on a resume. They want to see evidence of specific skills and competencies.
It's like instead of saying, I went to culinary school, you're saying, I'm a certified expert in French pastry. One is much more specific and, frankly, more appealing if you're looking to hire a pastry chef. Exactly. And that's the beauty of microcredentials. They allow individuals to demonstrate their skills in a way that's concise, verifiable, and directly relevant to the jobs they're seeking. Plus, they offer a level of flexibility that traditional degrees often lack. You can pick and choose microcredentials to build a personalized skill set that aligns with your career goals.
So it's like building your own degree piece by piece based on what's actually valuable to you and the job market. So I have to ask, could these microcredentials eventually replace traditional degrees altogether? Is that where we're headed?
Manafera seems to think it's a real possibility, which is a pretty bold statement, but I think it's a question worth exploring. It's not necessarily about one replacing the other. It's more about recognizing that the landscape of education is evolving, and universities need to be a part of that evolution.
So what did that look like for universities? How do they adapt to this world of microcredentials and on-demand learning?
Well, for one, they need to think about how they can integrate microcredentials into their existing programs. Can they offer students the opportunity to earn microcredentials alongside their degrees? Can they create new programs that are specifically built around microcredentials?
And they need to be thinking about how students are searching for these microcredentials online, right? Making sure they're using the right keywords and optimizing their websites to be found by those seeking those specific skills.
Absolutely. It all goes back to that SEO piece we discussed earlier. Universities need to be just as strategic about marketing their microcredentials as they are about marketing their traditional degree programs.
It's a whole new way of thinking about higher education, but one that has the potential to make education more accessible, more relevant, and more responsive to the needs of both students and employers.
And that's what's so exciting about this moment in time. We're on the cusp of a major transformation in higher education, and it's up to universities to decide how they'll play a role in shaping that future.
This has been an incredibly thought-provoking deep dive. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired to rethink what education can look like in this digital age. It's a challenge, but it's also an incredible opportunity.
It certainly is.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope this deep dive has given you some new insights and some food for thought as you continue to explore the world of online program management and the future of higher education. Until next time, keep learning and keep asking those big questions.